I am by nature a planner and a dreamer. I love to work out plans in advance, to work through scripts, contingencies, to know before I even take on a project how I'm going to do it. In fact, sometimes the planning, the dreaming, the scheming is far more fulfilling to me than the actual project. And in times of crisis, I become the ultimate planner, nailing down every detail that I can think of. My date book, my planner, becomes my Bible. So, how's that working for me these days? Not real well. A pandemic is a planner's nightmare. From those early days where things were literally changing daily to now asking the question, oh Lord, how long? How long? It makes planning impossible. Everything seems to be messed up. Vacations, surgeries, moves, visits to the grandkids, visits to mom, trips to Chicago, baptisms, funerals, weddings. Who knows when or how? Even opening for worship was a constant change of plans. And daily doesn't get any better. With the new technologies and the limitations on travel, my friends in Chicago can call a meeting at a moment's notice. And we can gather all of us from across the country for a Zoom meeting in an afternoon. Well, there goes that day and those plans. Or I might sit down to do one of these meditations, and for whatever reason, either me or technology, it takes 4 hours to get a decent take. So much for plans. A friend of mine texted me the other day, now that things are relaxing a bit here in Pennsylvania, he thought maybe we could get together. He was in need of spiritual direction. Could I send him some dates? It took me 4 days to find my calendar. Planning is not working well. It's even affected my prayer life. My morning prayers used to be laying out before God my itinerary for the day, asking for God's blessing and guidance and strength to accomplish all the things that I had on my to-do list. These days, that's not working so well, and I spend more time listening for what God might have in store for me that particular day. Now, don't get me wrong, it hasn't totally transformed me. Many, if not all, of our conversations together end with me saying, yes, but I still want my 2 cents. It's just who I am. It's just who we are. We want that control. Think of Abraham and Sarah. They were promised that they would have a child, so that Abraham's descendants could number the stars in the heaven and the sands on the earth beneath. Yes, but there is no child. It's taking far longer than they thought it should. And so they decide on a plan. Abraham will have sex with Sarah's handmaiden, Hagar, in the effort to make a child. He does, she does. and Ishmael is born. The child grows. Abraham and Sarah have a child. They name him Isaac. Now, who among you doesn't see a problem coming down the road? One man, two women, two children, inheritance? It's ugly, and it does become very ugly. Sarah's had it. She's jealous as all get out and wants nothing to do with Hagar and this son. And so she instructs Abraham to throw her out. Abraham's reluctant because to throw her out is essentially to kill her and the boy. But God intervenes and assures Abraham that God will take care of things. And he does. He blesses Ishmael and Hagar on their journey. All seems perfectly well worked out at this point, unless you know your history. Because the descendants of Ishmael become, for better or worse known, Arabs. And in the Bible, the Ishmaelites end up in the lands of Assyria and Babylon, who will together bring down the glory days of Israel and Judah. Sometimes, when we don't listen, our plans can have very long-lasting consequences. Yes, but what does any of this have to do with living through a pandemic? I think it says something very powerful to us about our need for control, a need we need to own. That all of our decisions these days, whether to wear a mask or not wear a mask, whether to social distance or not social distance, whether to believe Trump or Fauci, whether Wolf is the Antichrist and needs to be impeached or lifted up as the great savior of the Commonwealth, whether or not I dine in or dine out, whether or not I travel here or travel there, whether or not I dare to believe in science, in the medical field, or whether I get to make up my own decisions about how to combat COVID-19. All of this, every one of those decisions, if you strip away all of our platitudes and our politicizing, it comes right down to I want to make control. I want to make the decision. I want to be in control. It's how we feel safe. That somehow we can do this. Luther called it incurvatus se, curved in on ourselves. It is the nature of our sinfulness to see the world only in our self-interest, only for our own control, that we may feel safe and secure, even when it is nothing but an empty promise. These days, I've combated my own need for control, and believe me, it's out of control need for control, by revisiting the Great Commandment, to love God and to love neighbor. As a dear friend said to me on Monday, the longer this pandemic goes on, the more I realize the only person I can trust is God. What a profound statement. In the midst of this mess, the only truth is God. The God of grace and glory, who promises to provide and protect us, who guides our way day in and day out. That is the God. That is the one. That is the only one whom day in and day out we can trust. And so I find myself listening much more intently these days to what God has in store for me and the world. Which brings me to the second point. When I find myself wanting to do something or refraining from doing something, my first question now becomes, yes, but what's best for the safety, security, and health of my neighbor? Do I wear a mask or not wear a mask? It's not about me. It's about my neighbor. And how do I care for that neighbor? I found that to be much more healthy in framing responses to my own need for control. To love God and to love neighbor. Perhaps if we can focus our attention on listening and watching and acting in love and care, we can turn our yes buts into here I am, send me. I, the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry, all who dwell in dark and sin, my hand will save. I who made the stars of night, I will make their darkness bright. Who will bear my light to them? Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart.